Hey guys, welcome back to The Mind of Brandon, and welcome back to another Tuesday Tangent. As indicated by the title of this video, it's me, Kathy Griffin, and Richard Dawkins versus Bering and Donald Trump.
You're full of crap. Kathy Griffin lashes out at Samantha Armitage on Sunrise. US comedian Kathy Griffin has lashed out at Samantha Armitage, telling the Sunrise host she was full of crap for attempting to justify the backlash to Griffin's controversial Donald Trump beheading stunt.
Even Democrats said it was out of line. I get that comedy is about pushing the boundaries and being politically incorrect, and that's fine. But do you not agree that that picture holding up a severed head, I know it's a mask covered in, but do you not accept that was a little bit over the line?
No, you're full of crap. Stop this. You know this. Stop acting like my little picture is more important than talking about the actual atrocities that the President of the United States is committing.
So Bering went on to mention that, he wasn't really aware of what atrocities Trump had committed, and he wanted to know what kind of atrocities has Trump been committing. So this other guy came along and posted this video.
We here in America know exactly what Trump is up to. For instance, cutting the budget of FEMA and having no FEMA administrator. The Coast Guard being cut by 15%. Trump is kind of a dickbag. The whole idea of we're not going to let transgenders in the military because of money. Listen, if your reasoning not to let people join the military is because of money, you're a bad person! That's it. There's no objective morality here. You're just a bad fucking person, and you don't understand the U.S. military budget.
To which Bering responded,
You don't understand what an atrocity is, do you? An atrocity is an extremely wicked or cruel act, typically one involving physical violence or injury. For example, much of the fighting and many of the atrocities against civilians took place in Bosnia. Meat eaters think it's a joke, but it's not funny to people who believe it's an atrocity to eat murdered animals. It was a brave new world recovering from the atrocities and bleakness of war, and so on. An atrocity is like when Saddam Hussein attacked Kurdish villages with mustard gas in 1988, or in 2014 when ISIS massacred over 1,000 Iraqi Air Force cadets in Tikrit. Cutting the Coast Guard budget by 15% is not an atrocity. Excluding trans people from the military is not an atrocity. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, or the wrong thing to do, but it's definitely not an atrocity.
So I barely know who Kathy Griffin is or this other guy that Bering's responding to, and, I wouldn't necessarily raise the same points, but I don't really disagree with Kathy Griffin's use of the word atrocities, okay? I think it's safe to say that some of Trump's acts have been atrocious, okay? An atrocious act committing an atrocity, it's basically the same thing, okay? Bering did, of course, present a dictionary definition of the word atrocity. There are others that he did not present. A shockingly bad or atrocious act, object, or situation. The quality or state of being atrocious. So I would say that Merriam-Webster's approach to defining an atrocity is actually pretty clumsy. And you basically have to go look up this other word, atrocious, right, to get a better understanding of what an atrocity is. So it is understandable if someone prefers the other dictionary, right? But at the same time, what happens when we do go ahead and look up this word atrocious? Extremely wicked, brutal, or cruel. Barbaric. Appalling. Horrifying. Utterly revolting. Abominable. Of very poor quality. What if we look at words that are synonymous with the word atrocious? Awful, barbaric, heinous, lousy, rotten, scandalous, shocking, bad, beastly, desperate, diabolical, fiendish, flagrant, god-awful, grody, gross, hairy, monstrous, nefarious, villainous, wicked. And what if we look at the etymological roots? Enormous wickedness, cruelty, fierceness, harshness, fierce, cruel, frightful, of fiery or threatening appearance, heinous, extremely criminal, enormously cruel, very bad. So now that we've established the versatility of the appropriate use of this word, let's go ahead and talk about some of the atrocities that Trump has committed. So one of the most obvious examples for me would be when Trump first took office. Pretty much one of the first things he did is he okayed the Dakota Access Pipeline. So instead of saying, no, maybe we shouldn't be, forcibly removing all these people that are living where we want to be building this pipeline, instead of switching to clean, alternative, renewable resources that we won't be burning through fast that we can mine them. No, let's go ahead and go through with this Dakota Access Pipeline. And this is around the time that he issued a gag order on the relaying of scientific findings regarding climate change. It looks to me like he's basically knowingly contributing to the destruction of the planet and covering it up. As I discussed in a previous video, even Hitler didn't do that. But even before this, before Trump ever became president, he was already proposing a Muslim ban. Let's ban Muslims from entering the United States. Why? Well, because every once in a rare while, one of them performs some terrorist act. Most of them aren't doing that. Most of them are just leaving not so great conditions for slightly better conditions, right? Think about some of those Islamic nations, some of the crazy shit going on in those places that people might want to escape from. Take, for example, when women get beheaded for being raped. Oh, yeah, you get raped and you get punished for it. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Or, you have these prepubescent children being married off to grown men against their will. What's going to happen in that marriage? Oh, yeah, they're going to get raped.
I despise Trump. I despise everything that he stands for. But it's perfectly true that many people think that I ought to be on his side because he has these draconian, illiberal, horrible policies towards Muslims. Trying to stop Muslims entering the country. What a horrible thing to do. What an impolite, unwise, illiberal, inhumane thing to do.
Then there's the wall that Trump is trying to have constructed between the United States and Mexico, making it harder for illegal Mexican immigrants to leave their less desirable conditions for more desirable conditions here in the United States. What is it that makes them illegal, though? Where do we get this idea that they're illegal immigrants? Well, that's of course based off of nothing more than regressive, arbitrary, man-made laws. I've heard some people say that Trump is a racist, which, I actually haven't seen compelling evidence of that. I do not think of Trump as a racist, but he certainly is a nationalist, and when you think about it, the two really aren't that different from one another. It's really not that big a difference to segregate based on race compared to segregation based on nationality. They're kind of different, but at the same time, they're not completely different. Suffice it to say, Trump has certainly said and done some things that, from certain standpoints, could in fact be considered horrific or terrifying, wicked, cruel, nefarious, or villainous. All of which are terms that are synonymous with atrocious. So perhaps in the future, instead of quibbling over semantics, you will just accept that spoken language is subject to interpretation. Very often there are different ways of using this word or that word, and it might just kind of depend on our culture or subculture. Take for example the word rubbers, okay? Rubbers can in some cultures refer to condoms, or in another culture refer to erasers, or in another culture refer to galoshes, also known as rain boots. So just as the word rubbers can refer to condoms or erasers or rain boots, the word atrocities can refer to acts that are terrifying or horrific or evil or cruel or nefarious, etc. If there's a word that you've never heard of and you want some kind of frame of reference for how people are using that word, then sure, go ahead and look it up in the dictionary. But keep in mind that despite the fact we call them dictionaries, they do not actually dictate a single consistent definition for any given word. Really what they're doing is reporting ways that words are being used. Just something to keep in mind. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it with other people. If you're interested in watching my future videos, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next one. So have a good one, guys, and peace.